Hi, good morning. Good morning. So this is part two of my story about my travels. I think yesterday I covered the hotel part and quarantining in Malaysia, and today I want to share a little bit about the flights. Like I said, many of the flights were cancelled, and one of the other problem besides flights cancellation, if you are traveling this time, you need to check with your airlines what is the requirement for boarding your flight. Now my experience is that in Dallas, I've already looked it up, went to the website of Qatar Airlines, and they tell you that you need a COVID test 72 hours before your flight. But it is not required for those who are flying out of the US. Now, I don't understand the rationale. I'm just thinking that maybe it's difficult for people to get tested in America, maybe because they don't have enough test kits. I really don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense because we are on the same plane and some of us have to prove that they're COVID negative in order to fly. And there are others like us who have no papers, and we were allowed to get on board. And they were in the Qatar Airways website, they will tell you that if you are from this following countries or transiting from this following countries, you need the COVID test. So in Dallas, when they check us in, if you are from those countries and it's in their system with your passport, then they will require it of you. I know that while I was lining up, a few people were denied boarding because they didn't have their test, and they were trying to talk to the people and said that they didn't know it was required. And actually the truth is you wouldn't know unless you go to the Qatar website to check it out. You really wouldn't know if you are not I guess not, you don't travel much or you're not aware and you got your boarding pass and you think you're good to go. That's where you will be stuck. So whatever airline that you're flying during this pandemic time, I highly recommend that you go to the airline website. You see, there are two elements here. One is what the government of the country that you're flying to require from you. Now, some countries will require a COVID negative test and some countries don't. And not just the country, but also the airline. If the countries may not have that requirement, but the airline does. Or the airline does not have that requirement, but your country do. So again, like I said, it's very complicated. And then you add to that complication your transit country. Are you allowed, if you pass through one of those countries, are you required to have the test because you passed through them? Now for my case, when I fly from Kuala Lumpur to Narita, and Narita to Chicago, in the Narita airport, I'm not sure if they check for the COVID test, but even before I flew, my travel agent alerted me that that is a good route for me. And then when I reached America in Chicago, there's a huge sign and they said that if you have transited from any of these countries, you are not allowed entry. Transit, not flying from. Any of the European countries, the UK, China, Brazil, just I think they were like a list of countries. Now, if I had flown through, for example, from KL to London to Chicago, even though I'm in transit, I will not be allowed entry. So you have to check so many layers of requirement. So if you're flying, do a lot of research. I did. I even called the American border control something. I called the US embassy in Malaysia, and they told me that I need to check with the border control place. Now, this is a tip in case you don't know, and I realize that many people don't know this, but if you have a Google account, you can call any American, North American numbers for free using your email account. All right, so that's what I did when I was in Malaysia. I called the border patrol agency or something, and they told me also that if I fly through those countries, I will not be able to enter America. So can you imagine if I didn't know that and bought a ticket that, you know, transit in Amsterdam, or, you know, and then I will be stuck. I will not be able to enter America. So my tip is check, double check, triple check, check your country of destination, check your country of check your airline requirement, and check even your transit ports if you are going to be affected in your journey. And then if you're Malaysian particularly, there are very strict exit and entry permits that is required for you to exit the country and enter the country. Now, I applied for my permit I think it took a month to get my to come through, and I'm truly grateful. I don't even know why I got it, except that the Lord wanted to give me the desires of my heart to see my grandbaby, because it's a very, very difficult document to acquire. And when I applied for that permit, my reason was maybe considered frivolous, because it's not a medical emergency, it's not a job, it's not, you know, something serious. I mean, it's serious to me, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not really serious, because it's that I want to be with my daughter who has just delivered her first child. But they were very kind to give me. A lot of people ask me how I got it, and I really don't know. I wrote in and I followed it up and I got it. And then on the other hand, my husband did not get it. So I just feel like it is a miracle for me to be able to do this trip both ways. Now that I'm back in Malaysia, it wasn't only difficult getting the permission to leave the country to go to America and to enter America, but it's just as big a miracle for me to able to fly out of America back to Malaysia. Now again, I have a lot of questions like why it was difficult for me to come back to Malaysia when I have all the right papers. Again, different problems. I don't have a problem immigrationally. I have no problem entering back into my own country, Malaysia. I don't have problem. I have the right papers. I exit during our movement control order, but I have permission to leave and I have permission to re-enter. So I don't have a problem. My problem is the logistics of finding a flight that will come to Kuala Lumpur. So the moment the flights, Malaysia closed her borders to America and all these countries, airlines start canceling their route to Kuala Lumpur because they don't have enough customers to fly. And so it's not immigration, it's the logistics of finding a flight. Like I said in my first video, my Qatar flights was retimed so many times. At every segment of my travel, I didn't know if I could get in or what time is my flight, basically. But so I'm really, really thankful I got in. So I wanted to share that, so that if you're traveling, you know, and have transit, just to be really careful, that so you're not caught and stranded. I've met very many stranded people, and surely I don't want you to be there. If you're watching this video, I hope this is helpful to you. And then in flight, when we were in flight, the boarding process is very controlled. They let you, we board row by row. Now this is the time that you do not fly business class, because there's no priority boarding. So it's pointless, you know. I guess maybe the 9th seat that you get, because we got 9 seats in economy too, because we get a whole row to ourselves, which basically becomes a bed for you when you lay down. that's what I got to do, and all of us got to do that. So I think you don't need to fly business class. Save your money. And also the food is different. It's not normal, it's minimal. I think the packaging and everything is taken into consideration. So they board us by the rows. Of course, the ones in the back of the plane get to go first, and then the next row, the next 3 rows, and the next 3 rows, and the next 3 rows. Now again, there's so few of us flying that wasn't an issue. Like, again, I've never flown in such empty planes. All my flights to America and back, I don't think that will ever happen again in my lifetime, hopefully, you know. But boarding was super easy. Nobody, you know, you just take a few minutes to get onto the plane. The air stewardess, I flew on Nippon Airways going to America, and I flew Qatar coming back. Both the stewardess, the crew was extremely helpful and very, very kind. They helped me put my bag up. Usually when I travel alone, I don't even have a roller bag. I just have a backpack because I'm not very tall. So it's a challenge for me to put my suitcase up in the cabin, and I sometimes don't like to ask people to help me because I feel like if I pack it, I should do it by myself, and I don't have the strength. So when I travel alone, I usually just have a backpack. Like when I go to Africa by myself, that's what I do. But this one, I just I ended up with a backpack and a trolley because I packed snacks. I didn't know if I will be stuck in the airport for, I read some of them were stuck for 10 hours or whatever. And there's no food to buy at the airport because everything is closed. That's the other thing that you will find very strange if you have traveled before. Like, you think you can buy water and a sandwich or something or snack at the airport. It's no longer that case anymore because they are all closed. So I have some snacks in my bag, and I took things that I think I would need in case I'm stranded somewhere. That's why I had a trolley. And I didn't have to worry because the air crew was so friendly and so nice. Both exiting the plane and boarding the plane, they helped me put my bags up, you know, which is really nice. I think an in-flight, you know, like again, we have a whole row to ourselves, so that was super comfortable. The food plate was like more minimum. Usually they have like cookies and desserts and all that. We have a hot food, and then we have a fruit and a yogurt for most of the flights. They don't have a lot. Like usually they have a salad, a fruit, a cracker and cheese, and you know, all that. So it's kind of minimal. But on both airlines, because I was on like a 14-hour flight, the midsection, and an 8-hour flight. My shorter flight was an 8-hour flight. Snacks were offered throughout the flight. Chips, pretzels, a hot sandwich. So we were not starved in any way. We were not hungry in any way. At least I wasn't. And I watched a couple of movies and slept some. So flights were very, very comfortable. Now again, they spray the whole plane. I think the plane has never been cleaner. But when I got to the plane, I would spritz, you know, all my surfaces, my touch screen, my armrest. I just spray everything, so just to be safe. But I think it's quite clean, and the bathrooms were also very clean because there's so few of us, and the air stewardess were careful to wipe everything. So that's my part 2. I want to do a part 3 later, because I want to show you the things that I brought with me that will be helpful. So I hope you are enjoying this series. I will talk to you again in a few days.